Hello and welcome to the Retail Journey Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Charles Greathouse.
And I'm James Harris, and today we're excited to be talking to Todd Gentry. Todd is Vice President of Sales for GOTRAX. You might have seen their scooters, hoverboards in a city near you. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Bentonville's changed quite a bit since you maybe were first here. I'd love to hear a little of your retail journey just to start.
Great. It has changed a lot. So I entered the retail world back in 1995 with a fitness company by the name of Icon Health and Fitness. So they have a history here with Walmart under the Proform Westlow brand. I think at the time they were selling them. So right out of college, I started that retail.
Venture. 90s was like the golden era.
Oh, yeah.
Not that the future's not bright here in Bentonville, but that was just like stores upon stores.
300 stores a year.
I'm pretty sure like the merchandising was like, we need warm bodies to make decisions about what's happening, and a lot of chaos and an enormous amount of growth.
It was interesting to watch just how fast everything was changing and evolving. And so I went from that side of things on the fitness side of the world to a smaller startup company that by the brand of Classic Sport. Classic actually ended up, I believe Sportcraft took on that name, and many of the balls in sporting has now become private labeled here.
Interesting.
At Walmart.
Yeah.
And during that time, I really learned how to, cut my teeth from the side going from a bigger corporation now to a startup where we were just clawing to get any business and doing anything and everything we could.
How many hats would you say you wore in that?
Every hat.
Yeah.
we were in a part of Denver.
Hats.
Actually, we would inflate basketballs and footballs. We had this little kit of 3 balls: a basketball, a football, and a soccer ball. And there were times we'd get behind on orders and we'd have to run down to the floor, and it was a part of Denver called 5 Points, which has changed dramatically. And a couple times we'd hear shots ringing out in the neighborhood, and everybody would have to hit the ground and let things calm down. So
that's awful.
Any retail or the space to lease was a lot different, then. But so, and then that evolved, and I left actually from the corporate side and became a sales rep.
Yeah.
And for about 12 years, it was about 12 years, I was selling to Sports Authority.
Independently?
Okay. And I represented a company primarily, Lifetime Products, which also does a lot of business here with the blow molded tables and chairs, basketball systems. We introduced the kayak business to them. And so we did that for quite a while. And then Sports Authority went bankrupt, which tends to unfortunately happen to some of our retail partners, and jumped into the power sports world at that time with Coleman Power Sports. And again, another manufacturer that has product here with the gas-powered mini bikes and go-karts. And the theme kind of across the board as I've worked in this industry, it's been in recreation and sporting goods.
Yeah.
That might speak to my intelligence level.
I think it's really fascinating because to meet somebody that they started at Kraft and then they went to P&G or they went to Unilever, like on the consumer space, it's not as often you come across somebody that's in they're big categories, but they're not that, right? I think it's almost more challenging to do what you did because you aren't just coasting on the power of your brand or the marketing campaign or the whatever might be a part.
Yeah, there's clawing at every step of the way.
Scrappy.
And startup. Oh my gosh. That's just retail is such a small world. So it's funny to have it's a startup, which could have become vaporized. And actually it's still lives on in different ways, different brands, different retail banners.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You talking about your background in some of these categories that now we play in. To kind of hear a little bit of the evolution of we know what we're working with now, but to go back 20 years when we weren't calling on buyers at that time. I wasn't far behind you, but I started out of high school, not out of college.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great.
And I've always been a little jealous of those that have gotten to play in fun cool categories. Not that my categories weren't really cool, but my first buying desk was adult incontinence, and
oh gosh,
that was a different.
Okay.
I would fight with marketing because we needed to tell this story, and they're just like, yeah, we're not going to.
It's tell the story.
Yeah, my kids were always interested in stuff I was selling.
Yeah.
And it actually made my job a lot easier.
That's really fun.
Right? I mean, because we would go out and ride, go-karts and mini bikes. We'd have the entire neighborhood over, and we'd set up courses and pray that nobody would roll one or get hurt.
Totally.
We had that every now and then.
Yeah.
Moms weren't too happy with me, but dads loved me.
Yeah, for sure. I think durable medical equipment was the closest to being cool, because I could roll around in some wheelchairs at the layout center. Couldn't quite argue getting the motorized ones as like a viable path. So never quite did it. But now when my kids come to the office here at High Impact, and we've got a couple of GOTRAX scooters,
There you go.
they absolutely love being able to. In fact, my now 7-year-old daughter, I think we had just gotten here, and we have a couple snacks in the kitchen, and scooters. And she looked at me and said, "Dad, I'm glad Walmart fired you." I was like, I was displaced, but yeah, thank you.
I wish I'd have heard that.
Why do you say? Because now we get to ride the scooters. I'm like, thanks, baby girl.
That's awesome.
It's funny how God works things out. I'm glad you get to ride some scooters.
That's funny you mentioned that. My 4-year-old granddaughter, she called me on FaceTime with her dad, and she's like, "I have something to show you, Grandpa."
Yeah.
And so then he took the phone, and she's on one of our 3-wheeled scooters, and she takes off, and then she wraps her leg around the front post, and then takes both her arms off of it, and she's 4.
No hands.
And she said, "I'm ready for a bigger scooter now." And I don't know that if her mom, my daughter-in-law, I don't think my daughter-in-law knew this was going on. And here my son's filming this, and she's like, "I'm ready for a bigger scooter now, Grandpa." So, if I can do this with no hands and wrapping my leg around like a
kind of tough to argue that logic.
Yeah. So we're working on it.
For a bigger scooter.
So speaking of GOTRAX, you've been with them about a year?
Yeah, just over a year now.
What was the draw? What was compelling about GOTRAX?
So I had experienced, I mentioned the Coleman Power Sports side. I actually introduced our Coleman Power Sports team on the production side with the CEO of Tao, who owns GOTRAX. So they started manufacturing all of our product. And to mention that too, we now just purchased Champion Sports, which now has the Coleman license. So the company I work for and we were producing, we now own them. So we're...
I mentioned it was a small world.
Yeah, it is a very small world. Yeah. Very small. So
that's cool.
The GOTRAX, though this past year, knowing the company and knowing what they did already, I was really excited to jump on board when Terry reached out to me. And it's been a ride this last year, a crazy ride. And the vision is really what's super exciting about what we're going to be doing.
Is there any innovation that you've got in the funnel that's maybe not out that you're free to talk about? Or do you...
Sure. Yeah. We've got some fun stuff, particularly in the AI. We're calling it the AI Plus in robotics.
Yeah.
And we have been able to work with our manufacturing, our way into that AI world with robots. So we've a couple times been down in the Walmart lobbies with our humanoid and our quadrupeds and just blown people away. We're now known when we walk into the lobby at Walmart as the robot guys, and the receptionists ask us where the robots are each time. They were disappointed yesterday.
They're great dancers too.
Oh, they're fantastic dancers.
The robots.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the clarification.
Anytime.
Yeah. But so we're really excited about that. There's a great retail application. They're expensive right now, right? When people say robots are here, they are here.
Sure.
But when you're talking about a humanoid that could be in excess of $40,000, I don't think most of us are rushing out to get those. But the applications for retail, such as security and marketing and the patrol, when I say security, there's things that we can do to help even introduce them more to everybody, to everyday consumers. And then from a manufacturing side, we'll do what we do. And that's, getting that technology down to where they become easier to run from a cost standpoint.
Yeah.
So A lot of cool stuff. And then the toys, the AI toys, which fall under robots and tying chat GPT technology into that. We're having some good runs at that as well. Yeah. So
a lot of the educational opportunities in that, specifically that world, seem like could be a pretty major unlock, particularly when you look at some of the depressing statistics of our reading level, math scores, things of that nature. Do you see AI enabled tech or AI enabled toys being a help, a benefit from an educational?
Most definitely. And we were just talking offline here a little bit about the fact that so many people can end up putting their kids just in front of a screen. Right. And what are they getting from that screen? If we can now take AI and that ability to interact with a young child in a safe environment, again, that's something that you got to be careful of, right? But giving them the opportunity to have feedback and to be able to grow and to learn and to be challenged in ways, whether it be math, reading, whatever that can be. There's so many things you can do with that. And AI can learn with you too. Like they can take on the ability of understanding, so to speak, the age appropriateness of who they're dealing with, and you can learn together.
And then it gets more mature.
Yeah, exactly. You can have different challenges along the way. So
that's fun. And then the never ending why. Right. You can. I'd love to have a AI robot
get annoyed with
help navigate the why journeys. I don't know how old that age, like when it goes away, but I definitely have them.
The why
at home.
I don't know if it goes away.
Why, Dad?
I've got children in their 20s now, and I still hear why I talk to them. So
yeah, hopefully not 10 of them.
You're consecutive
in a row.
No,
yeah,
just 3.
Get into
Sturgill Simpson says, "Why is his most important word in the lexicon?"
All right, well, I got that one on lock. I'm glad Sturgill would be satisfied with that.
That's right. It was interesting. Yesterday in one of our meetings, we had an AI, let's call it a toy. It looks like a little pet dog in the meeting. And we introduced it at the beginning of the meeting, and we didn't turn it off. And during one of our conversations that we were talking about top selling categories at Walmart, it all of a sudden jumped in and it named the top 5 selling categories at Walmart. And instead of using the word Lego, it used building systems. Now, this was the top selling items in the toy. And it used building systems. And our buyer said, well, we don't use the term Lego at Walmart. And it knew in our conversation to use building systems. And that was from, it had only been in that conversation for 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, how that picked that up. That blew me away. It blew our buyer away too, by the way. He went, I just caught what it just did. And it was quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, when you can read enough, get enough context, it seems pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
Flipping kind of to AI, what have you seen as useful, not useful? You've a wide array of experience across retail and are getting deep into this AI space. What are you most excited about? And what are the things you think are more distracting?
Are you asking more from what I see, like from a retail, what we could be selling and what we could be doing? And then...
Yeah, just in AI, adding value across the retail landscape.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing on the retail landscape, for me personally, the analysis portion of what we've been able to look at quicker. And I know your team helps us tremendously with that. And I know they're pulling a lot of information that way. But for me, to be able to look at documents and just to have it sorted so quickly, for me to say, hey, I need to look at this specifically and to pull that information, it's mind-blowing to me. I think back before we even had Excel, right? In the early days before we even had email. I mean, I remember that day.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking about covered wagons here, but before cars, but now you have before email, it could be a dating system, I guess. But before we had those abilities to draw information, I don't even know how we did business, right? Like how we could truly do analytics.
So my first role in the industry was in replenishment at Walmart. And there were still people that worked there that, years prior, they would open this giant, you've seen like the really huge calendar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Looked like that, open it up, and it was a warehouse and all the items that they were responsible for replenishing with all the data, and they would just circle the numbers, and that was what and at the end of the day, they'd give it to their assistant, and the next day they'd type it in, and that's how replenishment's
amazing.
As recently as the 80s. Like, it's not a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
It's fascinating when you see that, and then see where we're at today, where we can literally dump gigabytes of numbers into something and say find correlations, and there it is. So when I learned analytics in the early 2000s, it was, okay, start at the top line, growing 10%. Now, what items are contributing? And then let's look at a little regionality. And you basically kind of do a reverse root cause analysis, where now you can say, find every relevant correlation that is in 10 stores or more.
And it does instantly.
To really be able to harness it, that's the future of analytics for sure.
Yeah. Had a great conversation yesterday about the so what.
The so what?
Right. Because if you can do all these things, and you can create a bunch of different correlations, the so what? What's the so what? And at the end of the day, it's all about decisions. Like what decisions are made differently? They may be made prior, and with additional data, it can trigger, a replenishment event, a feature opportunity, a likely out of stock that needs to be researched or whatnot.
And ultimately, that's what we're always trying to do, is do better, faster.
Yep.
Right?
This is a great find that so what in a more creative way, a faster way, a better way. Sometimes you can just make way more decisions.
Yeah. Which I think has been important for growth. You wonder, could a Walmart have grown, or continue to grow, or now see where they're going to be the next 10 to 20 years without it? I mean, you get to a point where if you didn't have the AI, could you process enough information? Could you really see the vision of where you need to go? And even with
without error,
exactly, right. You'd really have a lot of trial and error, right? Yeah. So I think it's helping eliminate that. I know from the manufacturing standpoint, it helps us greatly from a competitive standpoint. We can understand the lay of the land better and quicker. We can see quicker how our competitors are reacting and acting to certain things. Now, obviously, they can do the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're just in an accelerated world.
Yeah.
I guess at retail.
Yeah, I've gone back to it a lot. Jack Shoemaker's quote of the only sustainable competitive advantage is speed, and as I've like chewed on that, it's like, yeah, I think he was right. And it's interesting because what used to be an advantageous rate of speed is no longer anywhere near the front. What got you here might not get you there. When you think about AI and in general having a data-rich environment that's meant for better decision making.
Yeah, I think that's the key too, is people do get scared or intimidated. And I know I get intimidated by it all the time, but if AI can lead to decision making, and if we can learn how to work that and not take the human element out of it, if we can work those two together, where I think a lot of people get worried and intimidated is like, well, AI is doing everything. But really, it can't make those decisions that, okay, ultimately I take the AI information and what is that doing to help my company?
Well, there's also a liability issue. You can't sue AI.
It's a great point.
Right. Like a doctor has to sign off on a thing. A CPA has to sign because they can be sued.
Yeah.
Technology can't be sued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were at CES and, it was incredible. AI was mentioned quite possibly literally in every booth.
Probably. If not, it should be.
And in the, hundreds of thousands of people there assessing what's happening, deciding which trends are likely to be faster or not. It's still so people-centric.
Yeah.
We saw a good friend of mine, Howard Beach there. He's been to every CES since 1989.
Wow.
And he said, here's what I'm doing. I'm walking around at every booth that has AI in the name. I remove AI to see if they've actually got a viable product.
Because everybody's because they all wanted to be known with AI.
Some of them are really compelling applications, and then other times it's just like, let's just, same thing everybody else has.
Yeah. It became noise.
Never.
I saw a rendering. It could be real. It could have been AI generated.
That's
People Magazine Person of the Year AI.
oh wow,
which might actually be the headline. And this year, yeah, I did kind of
Person of the Year.
the Person of the
That's
Year.
interesting.
Well, that's
to think about.
That's funny.
Yeah, actually, the created AI.
Spooky, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a world filled with data and product lines today that are just eat up with fun, what's it like sometimes to have to battle there might not be data to prove this, but we think people are going to love doing this, that, the other. You've got hoverboards that have LED lights and a Bluetooth speaker. Like until you did it, there wasn't data that said that you should. Right. This is some gut, some intuition, some customer research. Can you help us? I think being comfortable with AI and using it is a good push for anybody who's listening, or like you should be paying attention and you need to go find ways to get comfortable in utilizing. And then I think we can get too comfortable looking at historical data.
Yeah.
To then, because it's not a window for the future. That's all past data that's been collected.
Right.
So I'd love to hear your perspective of like, okay, well, and when we innovate and create new fun toys, or transportation being totally reimagined with some of the scooters, how would you coach someone maybe new in their career through this juxtaposition?
So, just from our experience, I mean, I'm not the authoritarian figure on this, but what we have seen is, again, where I come from, it's all recreation, right?
Yeah.
And so when we want to innovate, give me a second here. When we want to innovate and we want to see what the next it is, we get out and participate, right?
Yeah.
And so, and we get which is so much fun. And as part of that, as we've seen the emergence of this e-mobility, let's call it, with the scooters and the hoverboards and the interest that people have in that electric space. I mean, there's always been the talk of how, from an environmental standpoint, what people view as the benefits of leaving the gas powered. And I just, as recently as 2 years was selling gas powered product. There is a definite feel still that people want that.
It's explosive,
but the growth is coming into this electric space, right? And so
e-bikes are just
well, that's exactly where I was going to go. Is as we've seen this explosion on the e-scooter side, right behind it has been the e-bikes, and the growth in that has been phenomenal. And now, following a typical curve of any category, when the e-bikes first came out, I remember my parents came to me, and I wasn't working with a company that sold e-bikes at the time; it was all gas powered.
Yeah,
and they said, "Hey, in your industry, do you have any leads on an e-bike?" They're in their 70s, and they're looking for e-bikes to help get out and do stuff. And I'm like, I really don't. And so they went out and they went to a local shop. They spent $3,500 each. They dropped $7,000 on some really nice e-bikes.
Yeah.
And today, our company could do those same e-bikes. They would have paid $1,000 each. Wow. For a very similar bike.
Yeah.
That's the story with technology.
Exactly.
Those pioneers that go out and buy it that makes it affordable for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. And so that category it's a no-brainer on the e-bike side. Now, our company also does a tremendous amount of business in golf carts.
Yeah.
And so if you want to talk about an exploding category, Wall Street Journal had an article last year where they predict that the golf cart industry will be a $5 billion annual industry.
I mean, any given weekend, if the weather's nice, I don't live on a golf course, but there'll be more golf carts on the street than cars.
Exactly.
Just people just zipping around, kids mostly. But
that's been something. So I recently was in Hong Kong meeting with some of our investors, and they keep asking, like, what is America doing with golf carts?
Not golf.
They're like, are you growing golf that big of a business in America? And we're like, no, they're really not growing golf.
my neighbor takes his kids to school on his golf cart.
Yeah.
You can avoid the lines and everything.
Yeah. People are shopping with them. There's communities in Florida that are restricted just to golf carts.
Is that right? Yeah.
It's kind of my favorite thing to do on vacation down in that Destin area is get an Airbnb close enough that we can golf cart for the week.
Yeah.
And not have to rent a van.
And everybody loves it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's something about it. And I remember sitting in these meetings last week trying to explain like what this infatuation is with golf carts. And, I'm telling them like people just like the open air driving experience, like getting out and just feeling that, particularly kids. And they're like, it just doesn't make sense to us. And so that as far as an innovation and direction, that's again, it's in that EV space, it's outdoor, it's participating, it's being together, which, we talk about all this AI, how sometimes that makes us exclusionary and isolation.
Yeah.
But really, we look at this as an advantage of let's kind of bring all the technology and opportunities and there's a family environment and a community environment.
You've said it a bunch. You've said it several times about having fun. Yeah. And I'm more convinced than ever that you really got to have fun in life to stay happy, to stay healthy, to be motivated, and it's bonding and connecting. I think sometimes we take that part of life for granted.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's your entire career has been about having fun.
Yeah, I think so. They always joke about you'll never work a day of your life if you enjoy what you do. And sure, there's bumps and bruises and losing deals and making bad decisions on the business direction. But at the end of the day, I have a garage full of fun stuff.
No doubt. And what I love is we're talking about innovation and effective use of AI while also not being fully reliant. And you're like, you didn't ignore the data. There was still data involved.
Yeah.
There was also like review of your competitions. You're seeing who's out there doing what. And then there's play, engagement, which to me is like getting into the customer's eyes, which I think a lot of merchants and suppliers have a hard time remembering it's not a widget. Like whatever you're selling is either a solution to a problem or it's an enhancement to their life, and like what will motivate a customer actually into the space to purchase it. And the closer you are there, the more likely your solution is to be a great fit. So I love this sort of triangulation that you laid out for us.
Oh, thank you. It makes my job a lot easier. Again, I was never really an engineering mind or excelled beyond measure in the school, in the classroom, but I have been able to, feel what I enjoy. And it seems like we're all quite similar, right?
Yeah.
In this world and wanting to get outside and be active. Yeah, we really are more in common. And this helps bring it all together.
So if you could give a piece of advice to, let's say your first 5 years in retail self, what would that be?
100% listen more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think early on, I had many opinions about this is the way it should be. And I was passionate about certain things, right? Mm-hmm. They should like this. This is better than this. Our classic ball with its micro fiber technology was better than the Wilson ball any day, right? We were saying, no, nothing against Wilson now,
totally.
But my opinions, I think, mattered too much early on, when really, yes, if the buyer was able to let me come into that meeting and talk to him and share information, that's one thing, that's great. I can share minimal information, but listen more to what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think anybody who just heard you say that to me, that interacted with me, maybe my first year as a buyer, is letting out a giant amen. And any problem sharing my opinion and maybe listening would be helpful. I think we all have a little bit of that, but boy, have we learned it over time of like, okay, let me just take a beat.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I remember the meeting I was in, and I was on the sales side, and I could tell I was losing the buyer, and I was very young and very new. So I started talking faster.
That'll do it.
Give it more information.
What is happening? I'm losing control. And my boss was in there. He goes, "You know what you did wrong, right?" He goes, "Shut the
That's great.
Yeah. And I still, it's tough. There's that salesperson in you that wants to do all the talking.
Yeah.
But really, I think they get you're not there to like really give a ton of new information, maybe some, but there's a lot of ideas already moving forward.
Well, as a salesperson, maybe in the sort of, as we get towards our lightning round, which we'll do in just a second, for those that haven't heard of GOTRAX, like what would be the, hey, here's where you're going to find us and here's why you're going to love us?
Well, you'll find us in just about every Walmart store, right? And back near the bicycles, everybody seems to know where the bikes are because they're that big section,
display.
The big rack and the display. So we're usually on the end of that with our e-scooters and then our hoverboards. And then great blessing for us is this year we're introducing a private label e-bike. So under the Concord brand.
All right.
Yeah. So we're going to be the opening price point at Walmart for their e-bike, which we're super excited about.
They've been so disruptive in that bike space. It's been awesome to watch access to good bikes happen across the country.
Yeah, and your team has been a big part of that as we've worked together on that. There's been a lot of hands in that. We've never done anything on the global sourcing side.
Yeah.
And
you've got our private brand hub.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
We were able to use your team here and then worked closely with the team overseas that they have. They are detail oriented.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've really learned a lot. And now I mentioned my parents' experience buying an e-bike, $3,500 each. These will be at $450.
Wow.
And they're fantastic bikes.
That's amazing.
Multi-speed and pedal assist.
Well, and your company's story is fascinating. I can't even remember how many years ago it was, but you were just on the marketplace. You weren't a client of ours. GOTRAX was on the marketplace. Apparently they'd reached out to the merchant and no response. Well, then the buyer sees it. I can't remember if it's 2 million or 5 million in sales around this one holiday period. So he called up the salesperson at the time. He why have you never brought this to me? He goes, you're not returning my calls.
There you go.
And ever since then, it's just been year after year of growth.
Yeah.
With growth really driven by innovation.
Yeah.
And some of those scooters, like I'm a large guy, and they have no problem, which is
they're good quality scooters. Yeah.
Awesome.
And your team has been great to help facilitate that. That's one area for the years that I've tried to sell to Walmart, and brought something here and tried to get it, not having the support.
Your team matters.
It really does. Yeah. And having that follow-up right away, relationships that they trust. And again, it comes down to that when you say listening, that's how you build trust, right? And so, I think your question was about where's our product and all that.
Hey,
it's all, circuitous there, but
love that. So lightning round.
Let's go lightning round. What are you reading, consuming, right now, whether you've just finished it last year or you're working on something now that's kind of moving you?
So interesting question. Good question. I'm rereading portions of Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh yeah.
And we've as we've looked at the robots and how are we going to, this is going to be one of those categories that is going to reach a tipping point. Mm-hmm. And there's some cost factors beyond that, but what's going to help it get to that? And so I've been spending some time there. And one of the ideas that came out of there, they talked about where Apple became who they are when they stopped selling an iPhone and made it an enabling experience. Mm-hmm. And when you think about the apps and what happened with the apps and how that changed the smartphone, so that's something I've taken from that. So,
love that. So we've been in retail. It's a small world, but tell us about one of your greatest retail blunders
that you learned from.
I can tell you right now, if my kids were listening, which they're probably not.
They probably are. No, they're definitely tuned in.
Their biggest. They get a kick out of this every time. It's Mango Mattress, and we during the time when boxed mattresses were becoming a thing with the memory foam, we decided that there was a technology in Asia that you could take a spring coil mattress and you could compress it down.
I remember this.
And you could roll those up and put them in a box. They were so heavy. Yeah. Can you imagine all that steel in there? Mm-hmm. And we thought we're going to rent, people are going to want a spring coil mattress over a memory foam mattress. Who wants to go down that?
Yeah.
And now you look today, there is not a single spring coil mattress that exists anywhere in a box, but there are.
I was in that industry.
Were you really?
Was happening? Yeah, I worked for a company called Sleep Innovations, and we did a lot of bed and boxes. At it, we were at one market, Market Week they have in New York, spring and fall. And I remember seeing it. I said, "So this is just a spring mattress?" They go, "Yeah, but it's in a box." So I was like, I don't think anybody's buying it because it's in a box.
Exactly.
It's just a convenient way to get it home.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody was like, well, they're so much easier. Think about the people in New York City that, you can't get a moving truck and you got up 3 levels of stairs. I'm like, think about those people trying to carry this thing. It's like, you got to be huge.
Not very many of them probably did. So
there you go.
And then what has you fired up this year? What's the from a business perspective, what's the theme for 2026?
It's definitely in this robot, the robotics AI.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, where can this be in 15 years?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to be, hopefully, I'd love
honestly,
to be.
15 months.
Yeah. Right. There's so many things that I think we're going to be, I was joking about, I knew time before email, right? I think we're going to be saying we'll know time before we had somebody, some type of robot in your office that's just used for something every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for having me, James.
Fun. And thank you for joining us. As always, you can see or hear all of our podcasts on our website, highimpactanalytics.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.